On Thursday, September 12th, 2024, 9 a.m. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Marathon County Infrastructure Committee. Our second order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. We have not received any requests to provide public comment and have no public present in the room. Next is item 4, approval of August 1, 2024 Marathon County meeting minutes. What is your pleasure? Motion by Dickinson. Second by Gisselman. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And just want to note for the record that we do have Supervisor Soibert joining us via WebEx. Item number 5, policy issues, discussion and potential committee determination. A, discussion regarding 2025 annual budget development and policy recommendations from the committee, including review of the mandatory discretionary program, documents, and discussion of rates and fees. Supervisor Robinson.
Thank you, Chair Pfeffer. I'd just like to bring to the attention of the committee, we funded the broadband coordinator position through the end of 2024 with ARPA dollars. And there was a $57,000 ARPA appropriation in addition to the $18,000 that we received through a grant through Synergy. There will not be a request for additional money, but there will be a request to extend the position into 2025 within the currently authorized funding level. There's approximately $55,000 left that would fund Aaron's position. The reason is when we originally approved this, we thought that the broadband equity access deployment program would be rolling out much faster. It has not. As a result, Aaron has put in less hours, but we will need that position going into the future. And I know that Supervisor Dickinson had some concerns over the certainty of the position. This is not a request for spending any county dollars, but rather a request for an extension of the period during which that position would be authorized within current ARPA funding.
Does anybody have any questions? Supervisor Robinson, is there any action that you need the committee to take?
If you wanted to support continuation of the position into next year within the currently authorized funding level, that would be great.
Anybody wishing to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Supervisor Gisselman and looking for a second. Second by Vole. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We are on to item 6, operational functions required by statute, ordinance, resolution, or policy. 6A, discussion of, and let's move on to 6B. There's nothing there for discussion on 6A. 6B, discussion and possible action by infrastructure to forward to County Board for consideration. B1, 2024 Marathon County Culvert and Bridge Aid. We'll hand it over to the Highway Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair. Again, this is our annual program. The big thing to remember on this is this money is not county funds, or it is a pass-through. It's funded through the municipalities, everybody within the program. This year we had 22 projects, total cost of $935,365.30, which you will see part of the resolution. Just for a little past history, in 23 we were at $612,500. We had a bigger project that we closed out. And 24 we were a little bit less. We only had $458,663. So again, the total cost of the 22 projects, 6 of those which we have done for local municipalities, The total cost for the projects is $935,335.30. The total culvert and bridge aid appropriation would be $967,667.665. Again, that is paid through the local municipalities that are part of the program. I do have you have a list of the projects if you want to review those, but otherwise, I'm here for any questions.
Go ahead, Supervisor Dickinson.
So just explain why some are full county cost or full municipal cost, or,
So
you can explain that breakdown.
So the ones that show the county costs, those are the projects we did for the municipality. We get reimbursed. So, for example, the town of Castle, the county cost is $26,000, then the municipality had $6,620. It could be a variety of reasons. Once in a while, they'll supply the pipe. Once in a while, they'll supply the material. They'll bring in the gravel. Every one of these projects this year, the township provided the gravel to bring in it. So that's some of the stuff that was built through the township.
So it's just at the discretion of the decision at the time. There's no kind of formula that determines why we would pay, why the county costs would be larger. Or
The county costs, again, is to cover what our costs are. Some of the townships say to bring down their cost, they'll just use their local guy. They say, we'll supply one of the people. So we just, take one less person there and one less truck. A lot of the local municipalities have agreements with local granite pits. So they'll bring the granite out, so we don't have to put any charge in before they just bring out the product.
Any further questions or comments? Otherwise, we would look for a motion to approve this. Is that correct?
Correct.
I think one of the things that, looking at our strategic plan too, I think we've got different parameters in there for measurements in terms of bridge safety and everything else, and highway safety as well. I think this all ties into that part of the annual plan to make sure that we're moving forward with that. No further discussion. I would entertain a motion. Supervisor Dickinson, motion to approve. Second by Hardinger. Thank you. Do we have any other questions, comments?
Where were we at? We had a number of total bridges that we were looking at this year. Where were we at on that?
The bridges, this is just local municipalities. Are you talking about the bridges on the county system, or?
But I thought this was included in both that. We had the bridge and culverts on there, and then we had that 22 that we have on there. Is that everything that we identified that needed to be worked on?
No, these are just local projects. The ones that I identified in our local bridge program, that's about a 4-year process. Actually, I have an RFP out right now to select engineers for them. That's due on Monday, so that's a much longer process. There are a few bridges in here that were completed last year. The one in Green Valley, the one in Rib Falls. I believe there's one more, Green Valley, Rib Falls, and Satine. Those are bridges that were part of the program. And then now, because they get the bills for those bridges, and half of that's reimbursable through this program. So there are 4 of them in this one.
Any further questions or comments? Otherwise, we have a motion. All those in favor of approving the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We are on to item 7, educational presentations and committee discussion. 7A, broadband update. Hand it over to staff. Thank you.
Aaron will be giving an update relative to the latest un- and underserved maps. The PSC has released new maps, and there's 8,443 un- and underserved parcels in Marathon County that would be BEAD eligible, and then she'll go through some of the timelines associated with that.
Good morning. This map is updated per the PSC. They completed the challenge process and confirmed that all of these addresses, which are purple dots on this map, are eligible for BEAD funding. So we have now stepped into the next stage. After the challenge process is the letter of intent and if you go to the next slide, there's a estimated timeline from the PSC. So the letter of intents are being accepted now, letters of intent. Entities are required to show that internet service providers are required to show that they have the ability, the capacity to complete this grant project. And then once the letters of intent are released, those who passed that process will be invited to apply for BEAD. The one piece that's not on here that we're awaiting a timeline on is what they call project units. So on that previous slide with all those dots, the PSC is going to group these addresses into project units so to encourage internet service providers to apply for areas together rather than pick and choose which addresses might be easier for them or for whatever reason they might apply for. We have not seen those. They have not given us a timeline. I know they're working on it. But the internet service providers have indicated that until they see those project units, they're not really willing to move forward in terms of talking about a project in Marathon County. They want to see how they're grouped. I have been in communication with most of them that are interested, and that's the feedback we've gotten. However, they are interested in discussing the timeline for community engagement. So once they apply, a huge piece of their application is going to be the community engagement piece. And if you scroll to the next slide, I included this document from the PSC about what the community engagement piece looks like. It involves meeting with towns and being documented on minutes to engage the community. And that's what the ISPs are required to do. This boosts their score. What's relevant for on the county level is a significant score is to ask for an endorsement from the county. We are working on the timeline for that because we have to go through the process of getting it through committees, and we're waiting for these ISPs to come to us with projects. So we anticipate it coming before the committees and the county in the county board in December, because that gives us time to gather the information. Does anybody have any questions? I know that was a lot of information.
Anybody on the committee have any questions? Supervisor Dickinson.
Explain again why there are some areas that are completely blank. You have, is that because of all of the differences in like RDOF and all of that kind of thing, or is it?
Yes. So do you mean the areas that don't have purple dots?
Yes, a significant
Okay.
portion of the area that I represent has no dots, and I just want to be clear on why that is.
That's a good question. If they do not have a purple dot, it means they are not eligible for BEAD funding. And why that is either they are considered adequately served by the PSC, or they are under something called an enforceable funding commitment, which means there is already a plan in process for this area to receive funding. So that might be Charter RDOF. It could be enhanced ACAM with TDS. I'm trying to think of WPS Capital, the PSC Capital Improvement Fund. So those are the addresses. It doesn't mean that they are already, lack of a purple dot doesn't mean those addresses already have adequate service, but it means they're already on track they either do or they're on track to get it.
So we will be working with the Towns Association, and we'll be bringing back a resolution in December for support. And we're kind of in this awkward position because they're sending letters of intent, and then they will be invited to participate. But again, the project units haven't been defined, so it's hard. We've been reaching out through Aaron and Jerry to the various internet service providers to encourage them to look at Marathon County and submit proposals. And we have either met or have indicated a willingness to meet with all of the internet service providers in the county. But it will be critical that we get as many points as possible should there be competition for those dollars. And so we're looking at, can the Eastern and Western Towns Association meetings in October serve as a public informational meeting in order to gain points, and we'll work with the PSC. We're on the agenda for the two meetings, and that may strengthen the applications when they're in, but we will be looking for the county to endorse the projects and determine what its role will be in December.
Any further questions? Go ahead, Supervisor Hardinger.
Does the BEAD program, I'm sorry. Thank you. Is the BEAD program meant to offset some of the cost to this? That's part of the reason that we're trying to incorporate it in those areas is because of how much this is costing to put the broadband out there?
Yeah, the areas that are BEAD eligible are generally high cost because they're either really remote or in really hilly, rocky areas, so they don't already have access. And the presumption is if it was easy or really affordable to provide internet broadband to these areas, they'd already have it.
Right. No, that makes sense.
This is targeting the ones that are really difficult to serve,
Okay.
challenging.
And our broadband initiative through the county here, we're looking to put everything out in those areas. That was kind of our goal to get that whole thing started, correct?
Yeah, I'll let John answer.
So we have a number of things in play.
Right.
We have, the arrangement with the Bug Tussle, where we have both the conduit bonding and we've got their Public Service Commission grant for the Leather Camp area, Knowlton, Gunther, Crownwater. Those are, I believe that those are, some of those are reflected in the current map, but our current initiatives and those that have been approved will not cover the entire county.
Right.
So what we would then look to is how do we supplement that? The advantage of the Bug Tussle conduit bonding in the towers is that it provides fixed Wi-Fi services, helps with law enforcement access to the towers and other things. But the fiber route will only serve about 2,200 residents in the county, and so there's another 43 that have been identified as being unserved, not having access, or underserved, having less than 100 megabytes per second of service.
So roughly the 84 that aren't getting service, this BEAD program would help.
The BEAD program is created. There's $1.055 billion available statewide that will be allocated to address those needs. So that's what the BEAD program is how we're trying to fill in the white parts of the county that are not, or the purple dots on the county.
And right now, the issue we're having is getting people together because it looks like you almost have to form like a class action to get the application for it rather than individually per the household. That's what the purple.
The problem is that the county can't do it. We have to rely on the internet service provider. So what we're trying to do is showing the map to the service providers and saying, help us out. We're interested in partnering with you in how do we serve those areas. But that goes through the Public Service Commission. They'll be the award. There will be a number of rounds of awards, and we're still trying to figure that out.
Okay, thank you.
I think to clarify is the PSC is going to, they call them like Lego blocks. They're going to block sections of this map and say, if you're going to apply this, let's make one up, the upper left northwest corner of the state, right? Of the county. They might say, okay, you need to do this area in the shape of a number 7. And if you're going to apply for any of those addresses, you have to apply for the whole thing. That's what's coming from the PSC, and that's why the ISPs are waiting. Does that answer your question? Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you to our broadband team for the update and all the work you're doing. It's a heavy lift, I know that. Let's go on to item 7B, CCIT projects and updates.
There's an update in your packet. The main thing that we're working on right now is to finish up the adaptive software budgeting for Workday. There's a couple things left on that. We've been working with them for a couple weeks. I'm hoping to be done maybe by the end of next week. The piece that we're still working on is the personnel budgeting, getting down to the granular level of each person's increase at the right time next year. So we're working on that right now. I don't know, that's probably the biggest thing that I'm involved in at the moment. You're probably aware there's 3 construction projects going on that we're involved in. The library is stalled, but we have fiber that we moved out of the way, and we have another piece of fiber that we have to finish moving between 210 River Drive and the library. We're waiting for facilities to finalize some of the construction issues there. We are working at Lakeview campus on what they call Section A and B, hoping to have that done next winter. There's cabling going on right now. And then out at North Central Technical College, the Regional Forensic Science Center's walls are up. Probably in a few months, we'll start really engaging there, making sure conduit's in the right places for all the wiring that needs to happen there. There's very significant amount of cameras, video systems going into there because that's going to be an education facility as well. Then the last thing I would mention is I don't remember if it's updated in there, but we are making changes to our email encryption tool. We're switching over from a product from Cisco to a product from Microsoft. They are starting. We finished the pilot. It went well. And the week of the 16th, they start moving over the rest of the staff. So if you want to send an email that has something confidential in it, you can type it. In the past, you typed in the word in capital letters "secure" at the beginning of the subject line. As soon as we do this change, the word switches to encrypt. But there's also, for those on Outlook, there'll be a button to check. And then it also does a couple of what they call DLP, digital data protection tools, where it'll look and see if you're trying to send an email with an Excel spreadsheet that's got Social Security numbers in it, it will identify that and automatically encrypt it. So that starts the week of the 16th is the final conversion for that. The pilot's finished. Any questions on IT projects?
Any questions from the committee? Doesn't look like it. Thank you for the update, Jerry. Move on to item 7C, new highway department facility update.
This is a continuation from our July meeting. If you remember, you endorsed a site in the southern part of the county. I won't get into specifics. We took it to finance yesterday. After discussion, they want me to do a side-by-side comparison of that site and the cost compared to staying in our existing location. So I will be bringing that back to finance. I know ahead of time already that the new site will be a cheaper site than our existing site. Time we do all the remodeling, and we would have to relocate our Mosinee site if we move to the southern part of the county. We don't have to build a new Mosinee site. If we stay where we are, we're looking at probably $5 to $6 million. So, time we add that on, I'm pretty confident the site that we had talked about will be the site of preference, but I need to do a little bit more work for finance. And also, if I could step back one to the CCIT updates, Jerry. I'd like to thank Jerry for getting our cameras up. We're putting additional cameras up through the county. Seeing this is such a large county, it's impossible for one supervisor to see what's going on through the whole county. So we're adding additional cameras that our supervisors can bring up so they can check the roads without leaving the shop or their home. So that project is also being completed probably this weekend.
Any questions for the highway commissioner? Seeing none, we'll thank you for the report, Jim. On to item 7D, a highway department summer project update.
We are kind of wrapping up things. We're out on Highway KK right now, finishing paving that road. We're having a lot of traffic issues. I spoke to the sheriff this morning. There's an officer sitting in the work zone. We had somebody yesterday bump our flag person 3 times intentionally. So we're having a lot of issues out in the remote area on Highway KK. So hopefully we're going to wrap up mainline on Monday with that and shoulder and get the heck out of there. One of our bigger projects still coming up is when we did our culvert inspection, we found a culvert on Highway O just north of the curves, north of 29. It's a very deep culvert, 18 foot of fill that we need to replace those pipes. It's probably going to be about a 2-week project. We might be able to get out there a little shorter, but we will be contacting all the businesses in the industrial park up there because the majority of the traffic does come off of 29, that road will be closed to replace that pipe. We're doing a lot of crack filling and routine maintenance right now. And the good news that we got is a while back, I applied for funding through the BIA, the Ho-Chunk Nation, for the County Trunk Highway J job. That's about a $4.5 million project. Our share is $957,000, roughly. I was contacted a couple weeks back by the BIA. Our funding was approved to help with our cost share, so we will be getting, out of the 957, we'll be getting 872,000 from the BIA, so pretty much pays for the entire project. So that was some great news with our friends from the BIA.
Question on that construction zone. So it was one person bumping the flag person 3 times?
Correct.
I assume that's something that gets turned over to law enforcement with a license plate then?
We had a license plate, we turned it over. We normally have 2 flaggers on a project like that. We have 6 flaggers out there, and people are driving through work zones, they're driving around their equipment, they're speeding through the work zone. It's one of the worst areas we've been in for a long time.
How's the County J project going?
The J project, they should be working on the Edgeline rumble strips. They should be wrapping that project up here within the next week or so.
Okay, great. Overall, you'd say construction season this summer went pretty good?
Construction season went great despite the rain every other day. We fell a little behind on a couple bridge jobs. We caught back up, fell behind a little earlier on paving, and we caught back up. So overall, it went quite well. We're a little high on some of the quantities on paving, but we'll still be fine.
Great. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you for the update, Jim. Final item under education is 7E, North Central Regional Fall Meeting.
We have a fall meeting coming up here on the 26th. I did let you send an email out to everybody regarding that. We are the host county because I'm in charge of putting it together, so if I'm in charge, I keep it here in Marathon County. Registration begins at 8:30 to 9. We are going to have a presentation on that bridge that I had showed pictures about that we put on Highway N. We are going to have a presentation on that. We are going to have someone there from the state speaking on the selection process through the state. We are going to have somebody here from the Detroit Engine Company to talk about the new emission regulations that are coming down the pike here in 3 or 4 years that are really going to put a strain on when and when we can get vehicles. We're also going to have a presentation on roadside vegetation spraying. We're going to have our executive director from the WCA that's going to give you an update on what's happening in our own association. We have a little social hour from 11:30 to 12 and a great lunch from 12 to 12:30. Again, this is at the Country Air, just north of Stratford. We have about 60 people attending. Right now, I have no committee members from Marathon County, and we're hosting in our host county and really close to Stratford, Mr. Dickinson.
So unfortunately, I'm at a conference that weekend or that day in La Crosse. So if anybody on the committee is able to make it, it'd be great to have some committee members there if you're available. Get in touch with Jim. It'd be nice to have some representation there, even for non-committee members. If say a finance person wanted to show up on the finance committee, they'd be more than welcome to attend as well.
Broadband is kind of still in infrastructure.
It really is, yeah. So. Thank you for that, Jim. Next on our agenda is item 8, next meeting date and time, announcements of future agenda items. A, committee members are asked to bring ideas for future discussions. Anybody have anything? Just because I texted with Jim yesterday, a question about the Highway XXX safety study, something that was brought up to me. Jim informed me that there's an RFP that's due on Monday for that. So that's something that's going to be in the works coming forward. So not that we need to bring it up for discussion, but just a future item that we will be seeing at some point in the history of the future. Anybody have anything? Hearing none, We will move on to item 8B. Next meeting is Thursday, October 3rd, 2024 at 9 a.m. With that, up to item 9. Motion by Vol for adjournment. We have a second by Dickinson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody, for your time this morning, and have a great day.
Where's Jim? At the country air to start the. Oh, good food. 26th, Thursday.